Hey guys, I'm Nikki. I teach others about backyard chicken keeping. Welcome to my channel, Purely Chickens. This is part 2 of my series, Let's Get Chickens. Last time we talked about what kind of chickens you're gonna get, how to get them, and all that information. Today we're talking about bringing home baby chicks. These chicks that I have here are actually not mine. I am babysitting them for my neighbor until they're ready to take them home in a few days, and they are so much fun. They ended up getting 4 different breeds. This one is a Brahma. She's so cute. They got buff Orpingtons and lavender Orpingtons. And they also got 2 Australorps. For those of you who are new here, I also have an Instagram and a TikTok. They're both called Purely Chickens, and my website is purelychickens.com. You can find all that stuff down below. So I hatched my first chicken egg in 2006, and so I've been setting up brooders for a long time. We're going to talk today about how to set up your brooder, how to bring the chicks home, things to look for, what to feed them, all that information. One thing you want to look for before you buy chicks is, are they roosters, pullets, which are hens, or are they straight run? Straight run means that they're just like a mix of males and females, so you don't know what you're going to get. So make sure that you have a plan for those extra roosters. One thing I always do before I bring home chicks is set up the brooder ahead of time. There are lots of different options for what you can use as a brooder. I have these chicks here in a rabbit cage that is actually linked down below. It's a great size for like 3 to 5 chicks. I do have more in here right now, but they're moving to their new home at the end of the week and it's much bigger. I like to tell people to try to go for about 1 square foot per chicken in their brooder. Of course, it can be smaller when they start out, but as they grow, they're gonna need enough space to move around and not pick on each other. You want your brooder to be secure because, you know, there might be animals or children or other things that could get into there. They don't do a lot of jumping around their first week, but shortly after that, they will be jumping and be able to jump out of a container. So you definitely want to have a lid on top. I have mine in my mudroom right now because it's a little bit cold here in Ohio to have them outside. I usually keep my chicks in the garage. As long as it's around 50 degrees or higher in my garage, I will feel comfortable putting my chicks out there. But if not, I usually keep them in the house for a week or 2 just to get them acclimated to their home. If you're going to keep chicks in your house, you want to keep in mind that they're super dusty and they do get stinky pretty quickly. I do not prefer to have chicks in the house, but if that's what you have to do, that's okay. You just want to make sure that you're keeping their brooder super clean. That way, they're not spreading any germs around, not making your house super stinky. You're gonna see a lot of people tell you to use a heat lamp with your chicks. I do not use a heat lamp with mine. I used to, but they are a huge fire hazard. I'm gonna show you here some pictures that my followers have shared with me of their barns and their coops and garages and things inside their house getting burnt up because heat lamps are a huge fire hazard. What makes them such a big fire hazard? Well, they get really hot. And so even if you think you have it secured really well, it's almost just like a matter of time of when things are gonna go bad. Chickens are birds, they can fly, they can jump really high, they can kick bedding and dust and feathers up to the bulb, which can cause it to catch fire. The bulbs have been known to burst before. They're just not safe. So what do you do instead of a heat lamp? I use a brooder plate with my chicks and it has worked really well for me. It acts more like the mother hen. The chicks can crawl underneath it when they're cold. They can come back out when they're not. And when they're outside of the heat, it helps them to acclimate to the outside temperatures. So the chicks actually wean themselves off of the brooder plate quicker than they would a heat lamp. Because I don't use a heat lamp, my chicks are actually really good at learning day and night. So they see lights when we turn them on in the house, or when they're outside in the garage, they see the daylight. And then the sun goes down just like normal, and then they sleep in the dark. So the brooder plate helps acclimate them to their day and night schedules. It's also not a fire hazard, so you don't have to worry about it inside your brooder with your chicks. You don't have to measure the temperature either. So with the heat lamp, you have to raise it up every single week and reduce the heat that the chicks are experiencing. With the brooder plate, you don't have to monitor the heat temperature at all. You can just let them use it when they need it. You do want to plug it in a day ahead of time or follow the instructions that come with yours. The ones that I love are from Rent-A-Coop and I have them listed down below. Your chicks are also going to need food and water. This water here is my favorite chick water. I will never use anything else. It is wonderful because the chicks cannot poop in it and they cannot kick bedding into it. They can't knock it over. It keeps their brooder really dry, and it makes it so they're not spreading bacteria to each other. All you have to do when you first add the chicks to their brooder is tap the little spout on the bottom. It makes a noise and the chicks will be interested, and one of them is bound to tap it with you. After one learns to drink, they all figure it out really quickly. I make sure everybody has figured out where the water is before I leave them alone. Now I do add some vitamin and electrolyte mix to the chicks' water when I first bring them home for at least the first week. I get my chicks from Hatchery, and they actually have a $5 electrolyte and vitamin pack that you can buy from them. And it's plenty to give your chicks what they need for that first week. But if you're getting your chicks somewhere else, you're gonna be able to find all sorts of different supplements to add. Just look for something that has electrolytes and has vitamins and is meant for chicks. You're probably also going to want to have some probiotics on hand in case your chickens are dealing with some like gut issues and their poops are looking a little bit runny. All right, let's talk about food. So when baby chicks first come home, they are going to need chick crumble. You're going to notice a few different words on feed bags, and let's talk about that. So the first thing you're going to notice is something called starter. Chick starter is meant for chicks that are from ages 0 to 8 weeks old. After that, it's called chick grower, and that takes them all the way to 18 weeks. Some companies do combine the two and call it starter grower, and you can use the same thing all the way until they reach 18 weeks or when they start laying eggs. You're also going to see some bags say medicated and some bags may say unmedicated. Baby chicks are really susceptible to something called coccidiosis, and this is an overload of bacteria, the coccidia bacteria. Because of their age and the fact that they're living in tight quarters, it's really easy for them to get an overload of that bacteria and to be dealing with some issues. One way to combat that is to give them medicated feed for about the first month. After the first month, I will switch to unmedicated feed. Now, if you have chicks who are vaccinated against coccidiosis, then you do not want to give them medicated feed. You can just start with the unmedicated from the beginning. There are lots of brands of feed out there. I like to feed my chicks organic feed. You can find my favorite feed down below. I don't really use the feeders that just have one spot to eat out of. I like that they are all able to get to it because they do kind of like to eat all together. They'll notice another chick eating and they will think, oh yeah, I need to do that too. And then they all end up there together. So this one works really well for this amount of chicks. They also make longer ones that you can get if you have a bigger brood. Now, do chicks need any sort of treats and snacks? I tend to avoid giving my chicks any extras like grubs or veggies or anything like that until they're out in the coop with my big chickens. They really need the balanced nutrients from their chicken feed to make sure that they're growing correctly. The nice thing about chicks is that they will think that their chick feed is actually treats. So you can just put some in your hand, hold it out, and they're gonna think it's the best thing ever. But if you do decide to give your chicks some treats, you wanna make sure that they have chick grit, and then they're only giving them a tiny bit a day. That way they're still getting enough of their regular feed. Chicks who are eating anything other than chick crumble need to have chick grit offered as well. Now, grit is just like ground up rocks that helps them digest their food, and they don't need it for the crumble, but they do need it if they're outside foraging at all in the grass, if they're eating anything like veggies, or if you're giving them any sort of treats, they're gonna need to have grit as well. All right, the next thing that they need is bedding. Chicks are gonna need to have a nice soft bedding to walk around in, and you also want it to be sort of dust-free, and that's why I choose Eaton Pet and Pastures hemp bedding. It works really well. It's soft on the chicks' feet. It's really small, so it helps cover up any poo that they may leave in the brooder, and it is not really dusty at all. So it makes it easy to keep them in the house. It makes it easier on their respiratory systems. And it composts really well. So basically I'll just put a fresh coat of bedding down before I bring them home. Every single day I'll top dress it a little bit just to cover up some of the poop that they've left in the brooder. And then every third day or so I will dump it, wipe out the container with some cleaner, and then refill it. You definitely want to use something non-toxic when you're cleaning your brooder. Something like vinegar and water mixture will work really well. There's some recipes on my website as well. There are several ways to bring home baby chicks. Maybe you're hatching them yourself, maybe you're picking them up from a farm store or a local farm, or maybe they're being delivered to you. All of those ways are going to be stressful on a baby chick. It's a hard little time that they have at the start of their life, and you want to make sure that you're providing their warmth, their food, and their water right away. Before I leave them alone in their brooder, I make sure that they know how to find their food and their water and how to find their warmth. So what I'll do is I'll just take my hand and I kind of gently shove them underneath the brooder plate, and that just kind of shows them like, here's the warmth. And then I just pay attention for 15 minutes and I see that they know how to go in and out, and I know they're good to go. The best way to make sure that your chicks are okay is to listen and watch. You're gonna notice that happy chicks are quiet peeping chicks. Unhappy chicks are loud peeping chicks. Yeah. I'll notice usually when my chicks are cold, before maybe they can't find the heater or maybe they're outside with me and I notice that they're peeping really loudly, then I know that they're most likely cold. You're also gonna watch your chicks for signs that they may not be okay. The first day or two, you may see that they kind of seem a little lethargic and they lay down to sleep very often. But after the first day or two, they should be moving around pretty freely. If you see a chick, after that who is stopping in its tracks and their head kind of goes face down in the bedding, you may want to give that chick a little extra attention. The chicks are going to notice when one of them is weaker. They may start pecking at that chick and going to cause some injuries. And once they've caused an injury or they've identified a weaker chick, they won't stop until it's too late. So definitely have a second brooder, a second heater, a different option on hand to keep those chicks safe if something goes wrong. You can also pay attention to the chicks as a group. If they are happy and their temperature is fine, they're going to be spread out amongst each other. They're going to be moving freely throughout their brooder. If they're cold, you'll notice them huddled together. And if they're hot, they're going to spread apart and you may even notice them panting. That usually happens with a heat lamp, and one of the reasons I don't use one. Something else to check for, pasty butt. It's really common for baby chicks to get a gathering of poo on their back feathers that kind of dries there and then they can't get rid of it. Chicks who are stressed out are more likely to get it, but it can happen to any chick. All you want to do is make sure that you're cleaning that off of there. So you're just going to run them under some warm water with a little bit of non-toxic soap, maybe wear some gloves and work the poop off of their back feathers. And if it gets really bad and you're having a hard time keeping up with it, you can put some Vaseline on their feathers, just kind of rub it in, and it helps prevent it from sticking. Just a word of caution, chickens have germs just like any other animal does. You want to make sure that you're washing your hands before you're touching them. That way you're not giving any of your germs to them. Also, wash your hands when you're done handling them. If you have other chickens on your property, it's best to keep them quarantined away from the flock for at least a month, just to make sure they're not bringing any disease. So what's it gonna look like every day as far as maintenance goes? You're gonna keep checking every single day for pasty butt to make sure the chicks don't have that. You're gonna check for injuries as well, make sure nobody has any spots that have been pecked by another chicken or that they've gotten hurt themselves and that's gonna cause danger to them within their little flock. Make sure that everybody is eating and drinking and active every day. And then you're gonna have to clean the brooder. Like I said before, I just do a little top dressing every single day and a full clean out every third day. You're also gonna wanna make sure that they have food and water fresh every single day, that it stays full. You never want chicks' food and water to get empty. And then if you are looking forward to having these chickens as pets like we do, you wanna make sure that you're bonding with them every single day. Our kids get them out, we get them out, and we hold them and help them get used to us. Let's talk about bonding a little bit. So chickens are hardwired to look for predators up above. That way they're protected from hawks and eagles and things like that that could get them easily. So if you're gonna go get your chicks out of their brooder and you are going from above to grab at them and pick them up, they're gonna learn to dodge you and learn that you're not safe. What I do instead is I just put some feed in my hand and I hold it down on the ground and let them come to me. For the first day or so, they'll peck the food out of my hand. After that, you'll see them climb on your hand and even go all the way up to your shoulder after some practice. Baby chicks love to go outside for some outside time. Being stuck in a small brooder is not ideal for them. So if you have a nice day, I would say 55, 60 and sunny is a great time to take them outside to play in the sun. You'll notice them dust bathing. Mine love to go to my mulch beds and take a little dust bath. Obviously you have to stay with them so nothing gets them. And closer to when they're about a month old, I like to let the big chickens in my flock see them. I'll do an entire video on integration. And if you hop over to my Instagram, there's actually a highlight already that's called integration that you can check out now if you do have chickens on your property. But I like to take them out in a dog crate with no bottom, set it down in the grass, let the big ones explore around them, but not be able to hurt them. I I hope you found this helpful. If you go down below, you'll see my website link for my chick care guide, and that has a lot more information on there. So feel free to go check that out. Check out my discount codes below if you need anything. We would love for you to subscribe. Next time I'm going to be talking about coops and runs and what requirements your chickens are going to need once they're outside.